Good day, friends, folks, for people, family, etc. I am excited to share these thoughts with you about selling bulk and pricing and selling on TCG Player and eBay and wherever else, and all the money that you can make. This is a re-upload effectively. It's going to be a little bit of a different video because my last recording, the audio wasn't turned on, but the audio is turned on now. And so I'm very excited to share with you. What's up? My name's Nick. I run a company called Capital Catalyst. I sell, buy, trade, and collect trading cards, mostly Magic the Gathering, basically all Magic the Gathering, but I'm excited to talk to you about bulk. So first off, let's just talk generally about selling Magic cards. I'm a huge fan of selling Magic cards, mostly because, well, I guess the origin of this is that you buy booster packs, you open cards that are worth money, but you're not going to play with. And what are you going to do with those cards? You're going to sell them. Why not? Get extra money, and then you use that money to buy cards that you actually are going to play with and that you actually want. And so that's the reason why, right? That's the reason why I made it eBay. That's the reason why I've sold on TCG Player. That's the reason I've sold on Facebook. And getting into whatnot and buy lists was a little bit more of a tactical business thing. But there's so many good reasons to sell your cards. The biggest one being that it's money, and money can be used for lots of things, but especially if you're kind of addicted to Magic the Gathering like I am, money can be used to buy cards. So what else? The other thing that's really exciting and a reason why you should think about starting a TCG Player store or an eBay account or getting into selling cards is because it can grow. It can grow. It can start out as a small little dinky thing that you do to get rid of commander decks and get the most value for your cards that you possibly can. And then it can grow and it can scale. And suddenly, before you know it, you can be buying collections at 70% and selling them on TCG Player and then netting 10 to 15 to 20%. You could be investing in sealed product and putting it in basements. I need to apologize to some of you out there because I have talked about how I'm like, I don't think these people exist. I don't think there's Rudy patrons that are buying cases of product, putting it in a closet and sitting on it. Some of you have reached out to me. Thank you. By the way, my email is below. If you just want to reach out and tell me about yourself, I'd love to learn more about you. It's a lot of fun for me. And some of you reached out and helped me see that there are people that are doing that, which is really cool. I'll share more thoughts about that in a different video, but specifically about there's lots of people like you, well, what could be you and me, and lots of people who are able to kind of start small and grow bigger selling trading cards. And so there's that opportunity for growth and scale. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is just, it's a side hustle. Side hustles are great. People talk about like, how much is your time worth? And it's kind of an interesting thing because you can say like, oh, well, my day job, I get paid, $30 an hour or whatever. And so, if I'm doing a side hustle where I only get paid $5 or $10 or $15 an hour, that's just a waste of my time. But the reality is that you have, 160 whatever hours a week. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're working, and then you got your free time that might be like 8 hours a day. And most it could be 8 hours a day. And I'm thinking like 8 hours sleeping, 8 hour working, 8 hours to, I guess you need to eat, travel. So really, your free time's probably only more like a couple hours a day, like 1 or 2, right? And what are you doing with that time, right? Because you could be watching Netflix, or you could be watching Netflix packing orders for TCG Player, right? And so even if you're only getting paid $10 an hour, that's just turning your Netflix time into money, which is incredible. So a big fan of side hustles. I know that there's different leading thought leaders out there that kind of bag on them that are like, anytime you're spending on your side hustle, you should be spending on your main hustle. To me, that doesn't quite make sense because your main hustle, if you're working 40 hours a week, there's only so much you can do. You can only be so excellent for those 40 hours. And then you got this extra time. And anyway, so side hustles are great. I have sold cards lots of ways. And I mentioned a lot of these already. I have sold and bought cards on Facebook. I've sold and bought cards on Whatnot, on eBay, on TCG Player, on buy lists. And there's a lot to learn from each of these experiences. What I have not done is buying and selling bulk. Well, I've sold bulk and I will sell bulk. I'm a big fan of selling bulk, but I haven't bought bulk, and I don't sell the actual individual cards of bulk, if that makes sense. So when I say I love selling bulk, I have boxes next to me that are filled with thousands upon thousands of cards that are bulk. And I'm not interested in selling those onesie twosies, but I do sell lots, and I sell them on Facebook, and they do well. I make good money from those. And so the theory behind bulk, and this is true, this is the reality behind bulk, is that you can take 1,000 cards that you bought for $10 or $15 or $20, which goes out to be about 1 cent to 2 cents a card, and you can sell those cards for a base floor of like 25 cents or 15 cents or 30 cents or whatever. And if you have enough cards listed on TCG Player or eBay or whatever, people will see your store and they will want to buy from you because you have the quantity that they're looking for. So even though you're charging above market prices for each individual card, you are able to do that because you have so many good cards that people want. So, if I'm a consumer, I could be buying, a 10-cent card, 10-cent card, 10-cent card from 3 different sellers, paying the $1.31 shipping that TCG Player charges. And so at the end of the day, spending $4. Or there could be one seller, you, that's selling all 3 cards for 25 cents each. And then I actually save money as a buyer, right? I'm only spending $2 on my order instead of 4 because I'm getting it shipped from one person. So that's the theory and the reality behind bulk. There's good money to be made by selling bulk. So the question is, why haven't I done it? Why don't I do it? And at the end of the day, the answer is, I think there's just, the math behind how I can use my time to make more money faster. So bulk is incredible because you can get started with, in theory, $10, buying 1,000 cards for 1 cent a card. You can list all those cards and then go from there. But let's say that you have $2,000 sitting around by chance. With $2,000, what can you do? Sure, you could go buy, 20,000 plus cards of bulk, or whatever, more than that, right? It's lots of bulk. Or you could buy a collection. You could buy a collection that's worth, whatever 2,000 divided by 0.8 is, or I guess if you're buying at 70%, that'd be like $2,850, a $2,850 collection, $2,850 collection. You buy it for $2,000. Then you sell the cards for $2,850. You net after shipping and fees about 10% of that. And so you get to take home $280 for selling, and maybe that collection only had 500 cards in it. So you have 500 cards that you're able to sell and take home $280. And you contrast that with the bulk, where if you sell 1,000 bulk cards for 25 cents each, that's $250. Twice the amount of the cards, twice the amount of the labor, presumably, for like shipping all these packages and sorting the cards and such, and less money, right? But of course, the difference is starting with $10 and starting with $2,000. And I am blessed enough to have $2,000. And so I'm able to buy a collection at 70% and flip it and make a profit that's that 10 to 15%. And it's less work for more money faster. Bulk is more work for money slower, but you don't need as much money to get started. And in theory too, like to bulk's credit, you should be able to scale that. And I see people like Gem TCG, he's in Pokemon, but the same idea is that, if you get big enough with your bulk, you can start charging more. You can charge like $1 a card or something like that and have these really great margins. And so I respect that there's bulk people that specialize in bulk and do bulk, and they do really well. But for me, I would just need more infrastructure, more organization, more sorting, more time, I think, to really get into it. And so for me, I would much prefer something like the commander decks that I like to buy and break down, where each commander deck set, there's only going to be like 120 cards that are worth selling. So I can buy 5 commander deck sets, 600 cards. I spend, $1,000 to get all the sets, and then I sell them, make my 10, 20, 30% with the collector sample pack margins. It's a good day. It's a good time, where, and a lot of those cards are $1, $2, $5, $10 cards. as opposed to selling just a ton and a ton and a ton of 25-cent cards. I do sell quite a few kind of 30, 40, 50-cent cards, but I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed. Hey, if you've made it this far in the video, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We just hit 250, and that feels awesome. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.